friends, Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade, not Hallmark. And for today's card, I've got this really beautiful wreath card featuring some new products from Simon Says Stamp's newest release, Cozy Hugs. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. First, I wanted to stamp down this wreath. This is the Painted Christmas Wreath Cling Stamp, and this is from Simon's newest release, the Cozy Hugs release. And this is a really fun wreath set because you have the wreath and then you have an insert with a beautiful greeting on the inside that you can use. I just wanted to use the wreath. Now, this is a solid stamp and there's lots of different ways that you can ink this up. I've seen lots of people do it in different ways, and I wanted to kind of do my own version of no-line watercoloring with it. I felt like it was a perfect image that you could do this with, and I think it's a really simple image. So if you're new to no line coloring like I am, I'm not very good at it and I try to practice as much as I can. I felt like this was a really good example to try this with. So I've got some Bristol Smooth cardstock here, and I've stamped down onto that with some antique linen distress ink. Now this is a really nice distress ink because it's water-based, and when I color over it with my Zig markers, you're never going to see that antique linen after everything's colored in, and I think it really makes for a really beautiful effect. So I'm just using my Zig markers, which I'll have listed in the description below, and a water brush pen, and I'm going to get right into the coloring, and I'm going to put on some music for you to enjoy, and when we're all finished, we'll come back and finish up together.
In the quiet evening, snow is falling, and from every window shines a light. Somewhere in the distance, drums are calling, but no one heeds their call tonight. As I walk through the streets of my old hometown, I hear sleigh bells ringing in the air. There are Christmas decorations all around. Tonight love and peace are so
Get this one last stem colored in here, and I just love how this wreath turns out. I think it is so elegant, and it was really, really easy to color. I mean, I am not very good at the no line coloring. I have practiced on several images, and this one is probably my favorite that has turned out, and I think it looks so pretty, and I love the color choices and the Zig markers, which I don't pull out that often, and I'm glad I did on this, and I think it turned out just beautiful. I'm just going to hit it with my heat gun just to make sure it's nice and dry. I didn't use a ton of water, but I wanted to make sure that it was nice and dry. Going to work on my card base here. This is just some Simon Says 110-pound cardstock, and I'm going to create a top folding A2 sized card base. And I wanted to stamp on the inside of the card, which is one of my favorite things to do, and I really wanted to add a little bit of that wreath on the inside. I didn't want to do the entire wreath, I just wanted to do a little portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp just on the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm going to stamp it down using some of my favorite Simon Says fog ink. I really love using this fog ink on the inside of cards because it's nice and subtle, and you can write easily over it if you have a nice greeting or a message you want to add to the recipient. At first I thought about doing like second generation stamping, but this fog ink is so light once it dries, it's not necessary to do a secondary, kind of a second generation stamping. So I just decided to go right in with that fog ink and stamp it down. And once it's dry, it does dry back a bit and it's nice and subtle. I'm also going to be pulling out a stamp or a greeting from another stamp set from Mama Elephant, the Peaceful Wishes stamp set. This has a big, beautiful Peace on Earth stamp and some wonderful accessory greetings that you can add. You can still get it on the Mama Elephant website. I'll make sure that it's listed in the description below. I just love all of these wonderful greetings that come in this set. I think they're perfect for the inside of cards, and you could still use it on the outside. I think a few years ago I did use it on the outside of a card, and it went beautifully with it. So I felt like this set went well with the die cut greeting I'm going to use on the front as well. So I'm just going to stamp that down using just some plain old jet black ink from Simon. You could stamp it in a color if you wanted to. I just decided to use black. I'm going to get that all done here, and then I'm going to do some more stamping on my main panel. Now you could do this before, or you could do it after, however you want to do it, or you could leave it out altogether. I wanted to add a text background to the back of my wreath here. At first I was going to use this handwritten holiday one, but I felt like maybe it was too busy, that it might take away from my wreath, which is the main focus. I just wanted it to be nice and subtle, so I'm pulling out one of my favorites for the year. This is the Christmas text background from MFT, and I'm just going to very lightly stamp around the background. It is really, really subtle. It almost doesn't translate on screen very well, but it is there, and I'm going to stamp it down using that same fog ink. And like I said, I wanted it to be subtle. I didn't want it just to have this plain white cardstock. I felt like it was too kind of boring. That's just how I see things, and I just wanted to add something to the background. And again, you could do this ahead of time and then do all of your coloring. I think you could easily color over it. You wouldn't notice it too much. I just wanted to get the coloring finished and then go from there. So I think it turned out great. I love how subtle it is and add something interesting to the background as well. I'm going to get my panel all trimmed up here, and I also trimmed up a piece of black cardstock. So it's just slightly larger than my main panel, and I wanted it to kind of frame it up and kind of create a little mat. And I really am glad that I did this. You could do it in gold or red or any other color. I just felt like black really kind of made the other colors pop, and that's kind of what I was going for. I really wanted them to stand out and kind of jump off the card here. And then I've got that other nice white frame, and I think it looks beautiful. I love how it turns out. And then I wanted to add some kind of just some shimmer and shine to it. Now, because I used my Zig markers, I didn't want to use any of my aqua brushes because it would just reactivate that ink. So I'm using a Stardust glitter pen to add some shimmer and shine to my little images here. And I'm just kind of going around the berries, adding, a bit of shine to them, to the center of each of those little red flowers. And then I'm also going to go around to each of the petals, and from the center outward I'm going to just do like a flicking motion and add a little bit of shine to those petals. This is completely optional. You don't have to do this. I just wanted to add a little bit of shine to the background. Once I had that finished, I'm going to go in with some glossy accents, and I'm going to go over top of all of the berries. And I wanted them to look kind of shaped and add some dimension, because this is a fairly one layer card. Other than these berries and the greeting we're going to add, it's fairly flat. So I wanted to add just a tiny bit of dimension, and I wanted to get this done ahead of time so it had some time to dry. I did just set this off to the side for a while to dry completely before I went in and added my other greetings, because sometimes I have a hard time working around a greeting, and I wanted to make sure that all of those berries had some of that glossy accent. So I did all of that, set it off to the side, and I'm going to work on my main greeting. I'm using the Peace on Earth script die from Simon. This is also from their newest Cozy Hugs release, and I die cut it out of some white cardstock and some textured gold cardstock. It came from a paper pack. I'll make sure it's listed in the description below, but I love that it's got some texture to it, and it kind of makes it look a little bit interesting, and I think it kind of dulls down the gold so it's not so bright. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I just like that it kind of tones it down a little bit, kind of goes well with the colors I chose on my wreath. And the two white cardstock pieces here, these are just some scrap pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to stack those on top of each other to create a nice dimensional die cut. I really like doing it with these really kind of thin scripty dies. It really gives them some stability and strength, especially, you know, these ones that are all together, and they can be a bit fiddly. And I think it is absolutely beautiful. I love this font. I'm pretty sure that this is Christina Werner, the one that's on here and the one that's on the wreath. You can kind of pick out her style and her calligraphy just about anywhere. She is such a fantastic artist. Going to go ahead and add some adhesive to the back of the gold piece, and I'm just using some Barely Arts adhesive. I did get a new bottle, and I've held on to the little needle that comes with it, and it seems to be doing just fine. Haven't had any issues with it so far, so I'm really glad that I picked up a new bottle because I do love this adhesive. Get that gold piece attached here. Now I did cut out, there's a shadow bubble that goes with this. I was going to use it, and I cut it out of vellum. I was going to put this on top, but I didn't want to mute anything that I had going on in the background. So I just decided to adhere it flat to the front of the card, and I liked it a lot, so much better than trying to add the vellum, because I felt like it would kind of mute the text background that I added, which I didn't want to mute that at all. I really wanted that to kind of, you know, be legible to a point, you know, where you could see it. Adding that adhesive on the back. Now you could use, if you're not really into adding liquid adhesive and getting all messy, you could easily use some double-sided adhesive sheets Simon came out with. I never have any luck with those, so I just find that using a liquid glue is perfect for me. Gonna get that lined up right in the center there, and I just love how that fits perfectly inside that wreath. So beautiful. Lastly, I'm gonna go in with some Nuvo crystal drops in pale gold, and I'm just going to add a few more kind of droplets around the wreath here just to fill it in a little bit and add a little bit more gold, and that will finish up my card for today. I really hope you enjoyed this simple no line watercoloring look with this beautiful wreath from Simon Says Stamp. I don't pull out my zigs very often, but I'm glad that I did, and I think this turned out beautiful. If you liked the video, please consider hitting the like button. Lets YouTube know you're enjoying all of the content. And if you hit the subscribe, you'll be notified every time that I upload a video. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. I can't wait to share with you some more, and I hope you have a great day. I'll see you again soon. Bye!
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.